Welcome, everyone. Let's dive right into the breakdown of Trump's economic missteps and the deeper troubles highlighted in that recent analysis.
I'm really intrigued by how the video lays it all out, especially the idea that Trump's policies are exacerbating long-standing structural issues in capitalism.
Absolutely. It's like the conversation starts with the basics. How Trump's economic moves haven't just been minor miscalculations, but are feeding into a much larger crisis,
Right?
one that's messing with the fabric of our economic system.
Yeah, and it's striking how Richard Wolff points out that the media often skirts around the nitty-gritty details that lead us into trouble, especially when it comes to mainstream narrative versus what's really happening behind the scenes.
For sure. It's like he lays out a timeline, starting off with a clear introduction, moving swiftly to reveal what the mainstream media won't touch on. This really sets the stage for digging into corporate debt crises and the entire collapse of economic stability under these policies.
That's right. And it's fascinating how he ties in the idea of a corporate debt crisis. You know, many argue it's not just Trump's decisions, but a result of deeper capitalist flaws.
Yes, exactly. It's like Trump's economic moves are like the final straw for a system already in trouble. And Wolf makes it clear that this isn't solely about one man's policies, but about structural issues that have been building up over
Yeah,
time.
I really appreciate that perspective. It forces us to look at the whole system rather than putting all the blame on one figure. But do you think he might be overstating Trump's role a bit?
That's a fair question. I mean, while Trump's actions have certainly amplified these problems, Wolf argues that the underlying issues in capitalism, like economic inequality and massive corporate debt, have been festering long before his tenure.
Right, so it's not like he invented these issues. He's just accelerating their exposure. And the video even dives into a segment around the 4:30 mark that discusses just how quickly these cracks are becoming visible.
Exactly. It's surprising how fast the crisis unfolds once you look at it through this analytical lens. The middle class, for instance, is being squeezed more and more, and Wolf details this very clearly between the 710
Yeah.
and 1022 timestamps.
And what caught my attention was his point on the myth of job creation under Trump's policies. He basically challenges the notion that these policies were boosting employment in a sustainable way.
Oh, for sure. It's like the allure of job statistics often obscures the fact that those jobs are not necessarily good quality or secure. Wolf shows us that the idea of a booming job market was, in reality, a carefully constructed myth to distract from economic collapse.
Right. It's interesting because many would say that any job creation is a good sign, but when those jobs erode under the weight of corporate debt and inequality, then they become almost counterproductive. Wouldn't you agree?
I definitely agree. It's like you get a job that barely pays enough to cover basic living expenses while the rich get richer, and the system remains rigged in favor. Wolf digs into this by comparing the structural advantages enjoyed by the elite versus the struggles of the common middle class.
And don't forget the discussion around inflation. Wolf challenges the mainstream narrative by arguing that what we see isn't truly inflation as claimed, but a deeper, more systemic mismanagement of the economy.
Yeah, it's like inflation becomes a symptom, not the cause. He points out that the true culprits are not just numbers on a chart. It's the wealth gap and capital manipulation that lead to distorted economic realities.
Yeah, that's a point that really resonates. When we dig deeper, we realize that the elites are the ones setting up the game. And speaking of which, he also highlights how policy manipulation benefits a select few.
Right. It's like, by design, policy shifts and economic maneuvers keep the majority struggling, while the top 1% uses the system to bolster their power. Wolf even touches on how this manipulation fosters a false sense of progress.
Precisely. And he uses strong visuals and data to explain this point, like those graphs showing how economic power is weaponized against everyday folks. The analysis is almost surgical in exposing who really benefits from the chaos.
Yes, and don't you find it a bit unsettling how he draws parallels between these economic policies and a kind of orchestrated collapse? He argues that the elite's deliberate actions are paving the way for long term instability.
Yes, it's almost like a high stakes chess game. but the pawn, which is the middle class, is the one getting sacrificed. Yet, I do wonder if, in some instances, this framing might oversimplify how the market dynamics work. What do you think?
I get where you're coming from. However, Wolf's strength lies in showing that these aren't isolated incidents, but part of a deliberate pattern of behavior. It may sound, a bit radical, but the evidence he provides encourages us to rethink our assumptions about trickle-down economics.
True. And let's talk about the hashtags he uses. They're practically a call to arms. Trump trouble, economic collapse, capitalism crisis. They really encapsulate the gravity of what he's arguing.
Oh, definitely. It's like those hashtags aren't just buzzwords, they summarize the urgency behind the message. By linking these terms together, Wolf reinforces the idea that Trump's troubles are symptomatic of a deeper crisis in our economic system.
Yeah. And there's that segment about corporate debt unraveling. It's almost like watching the ticking of a time bomb. It really forces us to consider the risks associated with unchecked corporate borrowing and financial product manipulation.
Yeah, it takes a dramatic turn at that point. You know, it's like every decision adds another layer to the impending collapse, and that resonates particularly when you look at the struggles of the middle class being hit hard.
Right. Speaking of middle class struggles, Wolf's discussion on how economic policy fails to protect the average family really stands out. It's an unsettling contradiction, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. I mean, it's like the promises of prosperity are constantly broken down by reality. A reality where financial crises and policy missteps leave the bulk of society in peril, while only a fraction rise above.
I appreciate that nuance because it makes you feel the weight of these systemic issues. It's not just about one leader, but about a whole network of policies that benefit the powerful.
Exactly. And this ties back to his final warnings, where he calls for an awakening and a re examination of capitalist structures. It's like he's urging us to look beyond the immediate headlines and grasp the deeper roots of economic inequality.
Yeah, it's definitely an urgent call for change. But some critics might argue that his perspective is too one-sided, that it underestimates the complexity of global economies.
I understand that critique. It's valid to say that not every factor is considered in such a dramatic breakdown. However, Wolf's intent isn't to provide a comprehensive economic treatise, but rather to pull back the curtain on the most glaring issues. And in that regard, he succeeds.
That's a good point. It's almost like he's setting the stage for further conversation rather than fitting every nuance into one video.
Exactly, and even if you don't agree with every aspect, the video compellingly challenges viewers to question the conventional narratives about economic growth and stability.
Yes, indeed. And speaking of questioning, the way he criticizes the lack of reliable media coverage on these issues really makes you wonder, are we, as a society, missing out on some crucial truths?
It's a remarkable insight. The media, often focused on sound bites and sensationalism, rarely delves into the systemic causes behind economic phenomena. Wolf's approach, while intense, actually provides a deeper context that many mainstream channels miss.
Right. His tone throughout is both analytical and cautionary. It gives the listener a sense of urgency, almost a rallying cry for critical thinking.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of those moments in history when truth was hard to come by, and only a few voices dared to speak it loud enough to force change.
Honestly, it's a thought-provoking piece that, whether or not you fully agree with every detail, pushes you to look at the economy through a more critical lens.
Couldn't agree more. It's like a wake-up call for anyone tired of surface-level analysis, a prompt to really dig deeper into how economic power is wielded and how our policies directly impact everyday lives.
Absolutely. And honestly, that's what makes this conversation so engaging. It stirs critical thought and offers a fresh perspective on issues that affect us all.
Right. It forces us to ask tough questions about our future, our livelihoods, and the integrity of the economic system we all depend on.
Yep. I look forward to seeing how these discussions evolve, especially as more voices weigh in on these systemic issues. It's a conversation that can't be ignored.
Absolutely. And to anyone listening, keep questioning, keep analyzing, and never settle for the surface answers. It's in these deeper dives that the truth unfolds.
Yeah, thanks for this engaging discussion. It's been illuminating.
Thank you. Stay curious and keep exploring these critical insights.